Two former prime ministers of Canada offering their thoughts on the upcoming G7 summit in Kananaskis. Jean Chretien and Joe Clark fall on opposite sides of the political spectrum, but shared similar sentiments, though one stronger than the other on how world leaders should approach discussions expected to be dominated by U.S. President Donald Trump. Terry Fikowski reports.
Former Prime Minister Jean Chretien hosted world leaders in Kananaskis for the G8 summit in 2002 and remembers it fondly.
It was very peaceful and not too costly and quite a success.
But admits it wasn't without its hiccups.
We had to kill a bear. That was the big story.
The location may be the same, but 23 years later, relationships differ.
He has decided to make a show to be in the news. He will do something crazy. So let him do it.
Speaking at a conference on the G7 summit at the University of Calgary, Chretien calls Trump's talk about making Canada the 51st state nonsense and says leaders should follow Prime Minister Mark Carney's lead from his trip to the White House last month.
It's not for sale, won't be for sale, ever.
He tends to be a bully once in a while, and don't lose your cool when you have a bully.
A similar, though more restrained sentiment shared from former Prime Minister Joe Clark. He helped steer the North American Free Trade Agreement and represented Canada in the G7 in Tokyo in 1979.
It would be wise to have more private dealings and fewer public dealings until the proclivities of the U.S. president change.
Despite their differences, the founder of the G7 research group believes leaders will find a way forward.
And they'll let Donald Trump lead, and they'll give him credit for many of the great things that the G7 summit at Kananaskis will do and go home with the substance.
Alberta Premier Danielle Smith is hopeful the summit will help smooth over Canada-U.S. relations with an energy security deal.
Don't talk to them as, hey, can you do this because it helps me? It's, let me do this so I can help you. And I want to help the Americans get global energy dominance because they cannot do it without us.
Discussion sure to dominate the three-day summit starting Sunday.
Terry Fikowski is live from the university tonight. Terry, a lot of talk around Trump, but what will be discussed at this meeting?
Camilla, the meeting's priorities include international peace and security, economics, technology, global migration, among others. But of course, we do expect the war in Ukraine to be front and center, with President Zelensky invited to attend the summit. We also know that it's going to be kind of hard to ignore the smoke that we're experiencing here and out in Kananaskis country due to the ongoing raging wildfires in the prairies in Western Canada and beyond. So John Curtin, with the G7 research group does tell me that that will certainly heighten discussions around firefighting efforts on an international scale, as well as climate change. Camilla, the summit is scheduled to run from Sunday until Tuesday.
Thank you very much, Terry.